Yeah, the video is happening.
Am I in shot?
You are in the shot.
Which one's
I'm gonna have to adjust the speaker on the system. Hello, everybody. What? Oh, yeah, Cliff is live with all the updates. Am I? Yeah, it's funny. There you are. No sound. Except what sound will come from the Piggy Palace? Fokawena is talking about the Guinea Pig Palace there in England. Hello there, Jean Bourgeois.
Where are you? Jeez.
I can see that they're talking to me. Hello, question mark, question mark. Hey, Cliff, something's wrong with the live stream. It's just sitting here loading. So says Nicholas Xavier Hall. Hey, guys. Hi, everybody. Hi, there's Hannah, Emily, Jan Nicolaisen. Did I say that right? Jan Nicolaisen. Hello, Hannah. Yes, oh, you're in Scotland. Well, Scotland is still part of the UK, last I checked. You know.
If they're having problems, go to our YouTube or Facebook or Twitter.
I'm going to say hello once more and welcome to the show, making sure that we are starting this show. Everybody is here. It looks like we're in, that looks like Satine Phoenix in her micro avatar up there in the Facebook feed. Hello there. Eravandi, you suddenly got sound. Welcome, everybody. You can watch us live. We're live on Twitter. We are live on Facebook. We are live on Ustream. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. We're live on many, many, many platforms. Count them, at least 4. You can go to theonering.net/live, Ustream, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. That's 5 streaming sources for our live show. Can you believe it? Can you dig? We're live. This is Torn Tuesday. Justin, he is off stage running some technical jiggery pokery. Hello, good to see you. We are live at Meltdown Comics, which is the biggest and best comic book store in the whole wide world. Certainly the biggest and best in California, that's for sure. How you doing there, Chris? Good to see you. We're doing a broadcast live. We're in the showroom. We're in the middle of the retail showroom of Meltdown Comics. And, geez, I'm like, this is where I start looking for that dwarf hat, you know? Gonna look for that dwarf hat that Justin had. I don't know where he put it. Hey, Justin, yeah. Where's your buffer hat? You had a buffer hat. Hello. Yeah, we're up now. Hello, Nicholas. J. Anthony Guajardo the third. He's a triplet. J. Anthony Guajardo is a triplet. He's a third. Well, you're not a triplet, but you're third in a row to carry your father's illustrious name. Well done, sir. Let me put this on. How is this going to work? Oh, yeah. It's the buffer hat. There you go. I'm going to wear Justin's buffer hat because it's just too big for my face. This is what it's like wearing the buffer hat. Nobody can even see what I look like. Hiding under here. I'm going to walk into the walls, trip over stuff. What's going on? I don't even know. Where am I? Oh, there's the camera. Jeez, Louise. Hey, Dave. How you doing? Good to see you. Welcome, Facebook chatters. You have many options to watch theonering.net. Oh, my God, I can't wear that. Justin has such a big, fat head. This was tailor-made for Justin, and he's got a big old noggin. His cranium is like, you know, the Elephant Man, John Merrick. Look it up. Sorry, Justin, I'm just going to take a few swipes at you. Even though he's not here right now, my co-host is going to join me in a little while, and we're going to talk about all things Tolkien and the Lord of the Rings. In the meantime, take a look around here. If you see behind me, Meltdown Comics, the coolest, most awesome place. Before we start talking about Fantastic Beasts and where to find them, and yes, such good things to talk about with the new film from Joanne Rowling. That's right, J.K. Rowling, taking us back down into the rabbit hole of the Potterverse. Lots to talk about with that, because I just saw the film yesterday. I've got a lot on my mind. New news in the world of Tolkien. Well, one of the biggest pieces of news that may be interesting to some of you hardcore Tolkien academics is that Christopher Tolkien just had his 92nd, bam, 92 years old. Happy birthday. It looks like Christopher Tolkien is well on his way to reaching 111 years old. You haven't aged a day. Christopher Tolkien, my hat is off to you, good sir. Because without Christopher Tolkien, we wouldn't have had the Silmarillion. We wouldn't have Unfinished Tales. We wouldn't have the brand new Beren and Luthien, which was just published last month. Everything that we are getting now from the Tolkien estate, I'm quite thrilled to still have some new things. Professor Tolkien may be long, long gone because he died in 1973, I believe. Is that when Professor Tolkien died? Yeah. J.R.R. Tolkien left this mortal plane of existence in the early 70s, but it was his son, his little boy, Christopher, who was just a little lad growing up listening wide-eyed to his father telling him these wild stories about trolls and goblins and Bilbo running around with dwarves and a wizard. And that little lad, he grew up to take over the entire Tolkien estate and help us have access to all the manuscripts that unfortunately his father never finished when he was alive. So, happy birthday, Christopher Tolkien. It's really good to have you still with us on this wonderful planet Earth. And if you're looking for anything to get for your Christmas gift-giving guide, and you're looking for what kind of things I can get for my Lord of the Rings Hobbit fan who's in my life, well then, take a look at some of the brand new books that Professor Tolkien had left behind, never finished, and with the adroit scholarship of Christopher, he gathered together these old manuscripts and edited and re-edited and showed us, all the good stuff that we've missed. And it's really, really awesome to have had him with us after all these years. And on the other side of that conversation, aside from the book fans like me, I'm a big fan of the books, and nothing in the world could ever beat my love and my affection for Professor Tolkien, except for maybe my love and my affection for Hayao Miyazaki, or maybe how about my love and affection for Game of Thrones. And there's a lot of other fandoms out there. Me, I'm also a big Star Wars fan, Harry Potter fan, Star Trek, Indiana Jones, you name it. Oh my gosh, there's a huge list of stuff that I'm a big fan of. But the movie fans of the Hobbit trilogy, and especially the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they always ask the same question. Hello, sir, good to see you. Always a pleasure. Jamie, you're the best, man. You are the best. Capital B for best. That's my good buddy Jamie. He's hiding off in the margins. The movie fans, they also think about Christopher Tolkien in a different perspective. Most of us realize that we wouldn't be where we are now with all the books of the History of Middle-earth series, and especially the Silmarillion and Unfinished Tales. We wouldn't have all that without Christopher. On the other hand, movie fans who want to see the full realization of the Silmarillion as a movie property, maybe a series of movies, or even better, I think, an anthology TV series. Everybody knows that Christopher Tolkien is the only person standing in the way, well, him and the other executors of the Tolkien estate, and they are preventing any Silmarillion film from ever happening. So, there's a little bit of a mixture of feelings that Tolkien fans have when it comes to Christopher. Christopher, I gotta say, it's a mixed bag. As long as he maintains that rather draconian control over the properties of Tolkien's other published works, we, the fans, will never see any radio, film, stage, music, or television adaptations of the Silmarillion or anything beyond. Not yet. Just not going to happen yet. Yes, Nicholas Xavier Hall, I totally see the Silmarillion as a widely cast net, a very widely cast net. As an anthology TV series, it could live and breathe. Imagine, with a showrunner, a couple of showrunners, and a group of writers, namely me, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring, throw my hat in that ring. Boom! I am so down to get involved at the production level with something like that, should the Silmarillion ever be viable, if the rights to adapt that amazing volume ever come to pass. Can you imagine starting with first season stuff that's all, a grimoire of deities and gods and goddesses from the Valar on down to the Maiar, and our understanding of the early relationships between the first elves and the first men and the first dwarves that sprang to life in the brand new world of Arda. How about like a real hardcore mythology-based first season? By the time the Silmarillion gets down to its 4th and 5th season, there will be much, much less intervention from the gods and much more drama from the people who are walking around on the planet in Beleriand, and across the Blue Mountains into what would later on be Middle-earth. But imagine an interesting TV series that would take us from a study of the pantheon of gods and goddesses in Valinor right on down to the dirt under your fingernails when you get right into the battle scenes with Morgoth and in Beleriand and the terrifying results of the Oath of Feanor after the creation and subsequent theft of the Silmarils. Boy, I can't wait. That's going to be really good stuff, but if it's ever going to happen in our lifetime, we're just going to have to wait a few years, tick-tock, before that happens. Anyways, if done correctly, Nicholas says, it would be better than Game of Thrones and set a whole new standard for what we know. Yep, I agree. I do agree. Helen Ford says, isn't it more complicated if Christopher Tolkien is actually credited as co-author, right? I don't know. Helen, that's a really interesting question, but Christopher Tolkien has never been credited as a co-author. He always positions himself as the editor. It says J.R.R. Tolkien, and right below that, in a subset, edited by Christopher Tolkien. He has never positioned himself legally in any way as a co-author, so I don't see any complication from that. Hey, yeah, Focoena, go to the theater and tell me what Moana is like. I'm a big fan of Disney animation, always have been, but I'm much more interested in some of the other things I've been seeing in the world of feature animation this year. Hey, guys and gals out there in North America, pay close attention to what's coming out on Blu-ray. I cannot tell you how good Kubo and the Two Strings is. Heartbreaking, beautiful, dude. I'm still thinking about it right now, and I saw that movie like months ago in August, and I've got all the feels, ooh gosh, tingly, goose pimples, like telling you, it's so beautiful. Stop motion animation has never achieved what that movie has achieved with its delicate emotional story and the profound messages of humanism and spirituality that are caught up in that film. You will love it. Very, very good. Now, and apparently, yes, thank you, Focoena, for also saying that. We've got our live chatters right over here. Apparently, Miyazaki is coming out of retirement for another film. That is true. Well, it might be true. When you hear rumors like that, Studio Ghibli has spent a lot of time and a lot of effort in the past month and a half to draw our attention to The Red Turtle. Now, this is the first time that a feature film has been made by Studio Ghibli that was not made by Japanese animators in Studio Ghibli. It was made by a combination of Dutch and French animators in France. And I met the director, Michael DeWitt. I just met him day before yesterday, maybe 3 days ago, here in Los Angeles. He had a fantastic Q&A session with the audience, and I saw The Red Turtle. Gorgeous film, but it's very sleepy, very quiet, very, very meditative, quiet little film, and it doesn't have any of the hallmarks of other Studio Ghibli films that you might be very fond of. It doesn't have any characters that are driven by magic or ambition or a crazy destiny. It doesn't have any of those plot mechanisms. The movie is just a quiet meditation on the cycle of life, and it's quite interesting. Interesting and gorgeous, really gorgeous to look at. But if you're expecting a wham-bang, complicated plot with psychologically driven characters pushing themselves to different limits, like the kinds of things you see in many Miyazaki films, for example, this film right here, Castle in the Sky. Yeah, that's right. Remember this? When Miyazaki did a little bit of steampunk? Remember how cool this was? Mark Hamill, that's right, Luke Skywalker, does the American voiceover, the English voiceover dub, as the villain in Castle in the Sky. Really good stuff. But as much as I enjoy Miyazaki and I love what Studio Ghibli is doing, I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to hold my breath and I'm going to wait until there's a real press release, not just rumors, that has real information on whether Miyazaki is going to get the green light and get a budget to actually make another film. We'll see about that. We will see about that. Waiting is not bad. After Silmarillion TV show, what we'll be looking for? Hey, really interesting question. In the Facebook live chat, Matej, sorry if I said your name wrong, waiting is not bad. After the Silmarillion TV show, what we'll be looking for next? See, always the next question. Man, always the next question. With fans, they're like, what's next? Even if we speculate what will be next, everyone wants to know what's the next thing. You know what? Check this out. One of my other favorite books here at Meltdown Comics, this beautiful 30th anniversary historical compendium of Labyrinth. This is extraordinary. Really, really cool. People have been talking for years and years and years and years about when are we going to get a sequel to The Dark Crystal? Are they going to go back and do another Labyrinth movie? You fans are all alike, man. Even when you know the good things are coming, you still want more. It's nice. It's nice to have an appetite, at least, for really good pop culture. I'm really glad to have you guys here with me. Do you think there's a chance the Silmarillion will become a movie? Henrik, no. There is not a chance at the moment. Threads online that Peter has left Easter eggs in different videos, like the Doctor Who spoof. Yeah, I've seen that. I have been on YouTube because a lot of fans have emailed me that link, like lots of people, saying, haven't you seen these little hints? And, you know, Peter Jackson is dropping a joke. That's his sense of humor. When he did the Doctor Who video, and he was like, you know, oh, Stephen Moffat wants me to direct but don't let him in the house. And then the Dalek, you know, and the Doctor himself is being chased through Peter Jackson's house with Peter Capaldi, right? He comes running through, and there on the table is an actual copy of the Silmarillion. Peter Jackson with his daughter, they're just sitting there shuffling around papers before the Dalek goes screaming and ranting through the house. I remember seeing that, but no. Hello, Dallas. Good to see you on the show. Welcome, my good buddy. No, I don't think we're going to see the Silmarillion not anytime soon. My estimation is that we're going to wait 5 to 7 years, maybe, before something like that even comes out onto our radar. I think it's a hell of a lot more likely that in that 5 to 7 years' time, somebody might try to reboot The Lord of the Rings as a different animated series or something different. You never know what someone's going to do. But I hold out hope that in our lifetime, all these amazing stories from the first age of Middle-earth may come to life in another medium. The other thing that I really want to mention right quick before I get totally distracted by, you know, the amazing things that are happening around me here at Meltdown Comics. Well, no, Jean Bourgeois, you know how long it took for Lemony Snicket and a series of unfortunate events to get rebooted? Okay, 12 years. When Jim Carrey starred in the first movie, it came out in 2004, and he played Count Olaf. This is how Count Olaf behaves. Yeah, there you go. That's my Jim Carrey doing Count Olaf. Who knows what Neil Patrick Harris is going to do, but it's 2016, right? So count the time from 2004 to 2016. That's about how long, you know, it might take before, you know, you get a reboot. But then again, take a look at what Sony Pictures did with Spider-Man. It took less than 7 years, not 12. It took less than 7 years for Sony to reboot the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies and crank out the whole reboot thing again. And, you know, everybody was just like, oh, it's that kid from The Social Network. Why the hell did you cast a British actor to play our American, you know? And that didn't do anything except Sony was trying to exercise their legal rights, but it didn't invigorate pop culture. The reboot for Spider-Man was quite definitely too soon. But I also think it's more likely that some clever filmmaker or some TV producers might get their hands on licensing some of the stories in the appendix. That's right. There's still a gold mine of material that is in the appendices at the back of The Return of the King, and they can license that. I think it's much more likely, excuse me, you know, doing a little Taylor Swift. Sorry. Anyways, I think it's much more likely that our good friends young Legolas and young Aragorn might meet each other in a buddy-buddy movie than it's likely for us to see anything else. So we'll see. Yeah, Tom Bombadil, I would love to see him show up. Good to you, Tifa. Thank you for giving a shout out to Tom. You know, there are other Tolkien stories like The Adventures of Tom Bombadil and all these other things. I think it'd be kind of cool to have Tom Bombadil have like his own incredible side story. That would be such a hit. Dallas says, I've never seen a decent Spider-Man film, except for maybe Captain America Civil War. That might be the truth. That might be the only really good Spider-Man film we have really seen. All right, now, yes, that's right, Emily. 12 years since, it's right. It's been 12 years since a series of unfortunate events. It's been about 13 years now since, oh my gosh, no, wait a minute, let me count time. Tick, 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 tick. It's been 15 years since the Fellowship of the Ring. Now that makes everybody feel a lot older than they need to be. Hey Justin, how you doing? Children of Hurin would be a good movie. I think Children of Hurin could probably be like a whole season out of the Silmarillion being cast out into 6 or 7 long-form seasons with maybe 10 or 12 episodes each season. I think the Silmarillion might be a thing that we all have our hearts set on more than anything else. Okay, now, let's talk about Obscurus. Let's talk about Nifflers. How about Newt Scamander? How about Porpentina, the American witch who is not an Auror anymore, but she keeps interrupting the president, the actual president of the American Ministry of Magic, which has a totally different name. Let's talk a little bit about Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. And there's a reason why. There is a big, big, big reason why I want to mention that, and that's called money. Huge, huge box office. So we're going to go to Box Office Mojo here on my handy-dandy tablet. Hello, Box Office Mojo. Ooh, the only thing that took Doctor Strange, our boy Benedict Cumberbatch, that's right, Smaug the Magnificent, the only thing that took Doctor Strange out of the top slot in the American box office was, believe it or not, you guessed it, that's right, the amazing powerhouse of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Wow, just yesterday it made $6.7 million in one day. Oh, come on, wow, that's amazing. So far, in the domestic box office, in the US, 81 million. Around the world, foreign box office, 145.5 million. Worldwide total, J.K. Rowling's new hit film at $226.6 million in just a few days. I have to congratulate David Yates, the director. He brought the goods. He totally brought the goods. He did a great job as a director. J.K. Rowling, hats off to you, J.K. Good job on your first screenplay. Now remember, she's used to writing books. She's used to writing books that are this thick, like big, chunky. The Goblet of Fire came out, and everybody was like, oh, geez, why is this Harry Potter book so lengthy? So she has gone from one type of writing, which is like full-form novel, to a very different discipline. And they're not the same. Believe me, as a writer, I have tried both. They are not the same. The skill, the effort, and the technique that it takes to put brain to paper and write the great American novel, or in her case, the great British novel, whatever, it takes a hell of a lot more discipline and a much more seriously focused effort. Writing a screenplay, I believe, is challenging. It really does have its challenges because you're dealing with a visual medium. You're not dealing with describing everything for the human mind to adapt its imaginative capacities and make it all figured out in the human cranium. You have to write a screenplay with a very different approach. Believe me, I've talked to Philippa Boyens about this. I've talked to Fran Walsh and Peter Jackson, and in interviews, they have told me about some of the unique challenges that are intrinsic in writing a screenplay. So congratulations again to David Yates, the director, and J.K. Rowling for writing her big screenplay, and this time not based on an existing Harry Potter book. And I thought it was a really successful film. Very interesting. A film that comes out right here in America, where we happen to be, we, the citizens of this country, are feeling a great deal of pressure and ugliness and bad behavior that's been coming out since our presidential election. And people who are feeling persecuted and have been all their lives are reacting and protesting, and there's a whole bunch of crazy stuff going on. And now here comes a movie in popular culture that is actually about people who are prosecuted and the efforts of people at a political and cultural level making moves to, you know, cause an outbreak of tension between people. And I'm talking about, Grindelwald. That's right, Gellert Grindelwald, who had a unique relationship with a very young Albus Dumbledore, the motivating villain in Fantastic Beasts, Grindelwald. That's what I keep calling him, Gellert Grindelwald. Very interesting, and we're going to be talking about more of this subject when our friend, my co-host Justin, comes to join me in just a few minutes, because it's going to be really, really interesting to talk about the way pop culture, the way that popular images are appropriated for political ideas and political critique. It happens a lot, and it has been happening quite a lot in our recent election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, that a lot of Lord of the Rings fans on the left side and the right side of the political spectrum were equally looking at metaphors and symbols from the Lord of the Rings world and applying it to some cultural and political phenomena that we have in the real world. Very interesting. We're definitely going to be talking about that a little bit later when Justin comes on. Yes, Catherine Holtham Oakley in our Facebook chat says, J.K. Rowling worked in references such as Bathilda Bagshot. That's right, Bathilda Bagshot. And Neville Longbottom. That's right, making a reference to Bagshot Row and a reference to Longbottom Leaf, the finest weed in the South Farming. Morton is the daughter-in-law of Ian Holm. Yeah, that's right. How cool is that? You know, I really dig that you guys are aware of J.K. Rowling giving a full, open-throated thank you to Professor Tolkien for his influence on her work. And her way of saying thank you and acknowledging J.R.R. Tolkien was actually, you know, putting in these really cool references to Tolkien places and characters, and it's so cool. And that's another reason why I really love J.K. Rowling. Fantastic Beasts really disappointed me. It was too much of a non-stop action movie, complete with over-the-top CGI, city-destroying, like every superhero action boss battle. You know what? Marcos Cantu, you are not alone, sir. There are many fans who feel that the third act of Fantastic Beasts finds itself a little too comfortable in the existing comic book tropes of big comic book films and sci-fi films that we have seen over and over and over and over again, like at the end of Avengers, at the end of Suicide Squad. You know, the third act of every big science fiction or fantasy film ends up with lots of collateral damage, Man of Steel, lots of crazy city-destroying stuff. Yeah, I've heard people say that complaint. They complained about that quite a bit. I complained about that when I saw Suicide Squad, which I really enjoyed up to the third act, which I thought was just, you know, another color by numbers attempt to, you know, rework the same climactic, big thing at the end of every comic book film. But when I watched Fantastic Beasts, I didn't feel the same fatigue. I know a lot of you guys out there did. You did notice, and you're like, oh, wow, this is starting to look and feel like, the typical effort at filmmakers to have as much crazy destruction and have it be over the top. I didn't really find myself bothered by that too much. I was more intrigued with the psychology and the pain that was being felt by Credence. Now, Credence is the character who is going to be played by The Flash, okay? The young actor who is going to play The Flash. Let me go into IMDb. Ezra Miller. Thank you, I just remembered. Ezra Miller is one of the most important characters to enter the Harry Potter universe, and he's also going to be a really, really important part of the DC Extended Universe as well. As far as the whole city-destroying, out-of-control stuff that was happening in Suicide Squad and in Man of Steel and in, Avengers, the first Avengers film, and over and over and over again, I know we have seen it way too many times, but I think that Fantastic Beasts managed to skirt that pitfall by keeping the focus on the psychology of the characters. Credence, as played so brilliantly by Ezra Miller, you start to realize that there has to be a happy ending somewhere in these stories for survivors of abuse. And that's an important message that I know that Joanne Rowling wants to get out in her stories. Because even Harry Potter himself suffered abuse for many years at the hands of the Dursleys. And it's interesting to note that Harry didn't suppress his magic so deeply and so profoundly as other characters did in Fantastic Beasts. Is a very, very interesting connection to talk about serious subjects in a movie which is supposed to be, a light fantasy. Well, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them has both feet on both sides of this world. It's funny, charming, especially the dinner scene where Porpentina and Queenie are using their magic to make dinner for Kowalski and for Newt Scamander. It's really beautifully done. I thought it was so light and so charming, and the romance that develops between certain characters, I won't spoil it, is really beautiful, really beautiful. At the same time, Fantastic Beasts sticks its foot into a very dark, dark place where we're talking about people who are oppressed, talking about people who are abused, child abuse, psychological abuse. Really dark. And very interesting to me, anyways, that J.K. Rowling managed to stick her left foot and her right foot in, a piece of storytelling that is determined to charm the pants off of you as much as it is determined to signal emotionally how we respond to these people in our world, the way that they have to deal with their stuff in their world. Very interesting to me. Yeah, hey, Kieran, nice to see you. How you doing? What are my thoughts on Johnny Depp being in the Potter world? Well, Nicholas Xavier Hall, I'm glad you asked me that. According to the timeline, everything that happens in Fantastic Beasts in New York City is about 70 years before Harry Potter would be in school, okay, reading the book that Newt Scamander would eventually write. So that means that we have to track how old Dumbledore and Gellert Grindelwald, how old they were when they were teenagers together, and Grindelwald came to visit Hogwarts, and they got into quite an interesting, very entangled romantic relationship. Very intriguing. And then as Grindelwald started to develop his racial ideas that muggles or no-mages should be controlled, should be put down, that they should be enslaved and taken over by a superior race. When Dumbledore realized that his partner, Grindelwald, was deviating from basic humanism and compassion and was being driven by an ideology that was making him like unrelatable as a person, that's when they broke it off. And it's such an interesting piece of that Harry Potter backstory. I find it so interesting. I really, really do. But the thing with Gellert Grindelwald being played by Johnny Depp, I think they cast him too old. Johnny Depp as an actor is actually a little bit too old, I think, to be playing Grindelwald at that age that he's supposed to be in that story. In the future, you know that Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them was going to be 3 movies. They've expanded it to 5 movies. And 5 movies means there's going to be a hell of a lot more Grindelwald. And, excuse me, ultimately, they're going to cast a young Dumbledore. And that young Dumbledore, hopefully, you know, he may show up or may not show up, but the story is going to be filtered mostly through Newt Scamander's point of view. I'm very intrigued by what they're going to do, but I suspect when they cast a younger Albus Dumbledore, it will have to be a younger actor. Johnny Depp is really awesome. He's one of my favorite performers of all time, but I'm not so sure. I'm scratching my head a little bit at the casting because I would have thought that Grindelwald would have been a little bit younger, but that's just me. Can I comment more on the actor Johnny Depp being involved with his history of abuse? Ah, interesting. Harrison King brings a very interesting question. I don't know if I have much more to add on that point, but I also think I think that there's a reason why Johnny was attracted to the project, and that might be one of them. That might be one of the best ways for any performer to exercise his or her own personal demons, is to get involved with a script that deals with that subject matter, not in an overt way, but in a holistic way. Now that's a pretty cool place to be, Harrison King, and I thank you for asking me that question. I wonder if J.K. Rowling had a sit-down conversation with Johnny Depp before they got into the casting decisions about his past and some of the characters that were involved there. It's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that. Now back to Nicholas Xavier Hall. Sorry to interrupt. Can we say that Voldemort was actually following Grindelwald's ideology? Yes, he was. That is exactly right. Tom Riddle, or appropriately, Tom Miarvolo Riddle. Tom Riddle, who would become I Am Lord Voldemort, anagram. He was very, very much inspired by and took the lead with Grindelwald's ideology. Now, you'll notice, if you haven't seen Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, you'll notice that when ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, the witch is dead, ding dong, the witch is dead. Who's the Irish actor? The Irish actor who played Graves. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. The Irish actor who played Graves. Don't tell me, and I'm not going to spoil anything. So let me just say, where's my brain? I got to check my brain. Oh, why is the Wi-Fi so bloody slow here? Come on, you guys. Who's that? Yes, Colin Farrell. Thank you. Colin Farrell. Blink. Check my... No, it's not Colin Firth, dude. It's not Colin Firth. It's Colin Farrell. Colin Farrell playing that character. Come here. Come here, Mr. Neil.
How you doing, buddy?
Ladies and gentlemen. Animator, comic book author, and Gad, my local gadfly, my favorite gadfly here at Meltdown Comics. My friend Neil Wade. Say hi to the folks on my microphone, Neil.
Hello,
Right
folks on the microphone.
Yeah, no, I'm on the microphone, and so you are too. Are you coming in here to Meltdown Comics for one of the shows tonight? I haven't seen you in ages.
Comics. It's been a while.
It's been a minute. It's been a minute. He's one of my best friends, and
Yes.
I haven't seen him in months. Yes, it has, buddy. Oh, wait, that party you took me to for the animator who celebrated getting that new job?
Yes.
That was the last time I saw you.
So.
August?
Can I?
September?
September. It was
September, October.
It was definitely
Okay, it's been a couple. All right. Hello. Do you have an opinion of, since we're talking about Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them?
I haven't seen it yet.
Then get out of
I'm
here.
very excited.
Get out of
All right,
here.
I'm outta here.
Get out of
Nice to
here.
meet you all.
No, he's awesome. This guy's awesome. What's your recommendation for really hot comics this week?
Oh gosh, I'm coming to check it out and see what's actually here.
What are the new
I'm a couple
releases?
weeks behind.
Look what I
don't
found.
even know.
Look what I found. I know.
Please have this.
When
Can I have
Miyazaki went steampunk, right? I just showed the audience, and the audience went, "Oh my God, isn't that great? This is super great." You know
I
what
take
else
this
is
home,
great?
please?
Yes, you can.
I please take it home?
This is even better.
I know.
The
Stop
ultimate visual history of Labyrinth. I miss you, David Bowie. I miss you more than anything in the universe, except for my cat. I miss my cat more than anything in the universe, but I miss you, David. This was awesome.
For the record,
Isn't this great?
If you all see this film, you must see it with Cliff here. He is the best Labyrinth film buddy.
Am I the Labyrinth? Yeah, I'll tell you
as
what.
As well as Dark Crystal.
You remind me of the Babe. You're supposed to say, "What Babe?" And then I say, "The Babe with the power." And then you say, "What power?"
Caught me off guard.
I'm gonna smack this man.
I'm
You know-
behind. I'm out of the loop. It's been months.
funny.
We don't have.
Very, very funny. Very funny. Okay. Colin Farrell is really great. The cast of Fantastic Beasts are so awesome. And I have to say, the best thing about it is that really, really funny guy who played Kowalski, Dan Fogler. That's right, Dan Fogler, who you've seen in Funny or Die, in some really like crazy. I think he was in This Is the End.
Which guy was he?
I'm not sure, but let me check. I'm checking IMDb while we're talking about it. He was so good as Kowalski in Fantastic Beasts, and just absolutely fantastic. Oh yeah, he was in Balls of Fury. That's right, playing ping pong. Balls of Fury. Isn't Christopher Walken in that movie too?
Alerts.
Before any spoiler alerts, yeah. I'm not going to
haven't seen
spoil anything, but I will say
I'm going to see it today or tomorrow.
that one of the toughest jobs of any director, you can ask Peter Jackson, he knows this too, one of the toughest jobs of any director is casting. And the casting choices that David Yates and J.K. Rowling did for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is really damn good. Great casting. And our boy Flash, Ezra Miller, is a linchpin, awesome character in this new series. He's going to be awesome. And we're going to see more of him as the Flash in the upcoming DC Extended Universe. Goodbye, good sir,
excited.
for now.
So good to see
I'll
you.
let you get back to what you
Thank you for letting me
This guy.
interrupt.
This guy.
Y'all enjoy the night.
He's cool.
I might walk around in the background.
All right, you walk around in the background.
All right.
We'll catch up with you later on.
I will see you very soon.
Yes, very soon indeed. Okay, Dallas, are you actually leaving the show? Just a reminder that the AFK, the web series, is back online. Oh, hey, cool. Oh, dude, Dallas, you worked on that miniseries, that web series, and I'm really glad. Congratulations on you doing that work. And for all of our audience who are watching right now, Dallas Barnett happens to be one of the actors in the Hobbit trilogy. You see him almost challenging Thorin in Bree in that prologue scene in The Desolation of Smaug. Dallas Barnett played one of the evil ruffians with that scarred face and that look on his face. And he's sitting there giving the evil eye to Richard Armitage. And he's our buddy who comes to join us and talk with us here on the live show. It's super good to have you here. Have a good night. See you next time, Dallas. Thank you for joining us. Going back to the Silmarillion for a moment, got to jump tracks. Jean Bourgeois says, going back to the Silmarillion, what scenes would you like to see come to life on the screen? First and foremost, the big thing that I want to see most of all is when Melkor and the evil giant spider Ungoliant, who would be the great grandmama of Shelob, I'm interested in seeing their attack on Valinor. And when Ungoliant attacks the two trees, and Morgoth is there, and the Valar are like up in arms saying, "Oh, F you, mother effers." I'm so into that. That's one of the first things that I'd like to see from a Silmarillion adaptation. I also am interested in seeing, and this is early stage in the story, when the great Valar, Ole, creates the dwarves, and they come to life under the mountains, and then all of a sudden, Ilúvatar comes in as the hand of God and says, no, you are not going to have those dwarves wake up. My elves are supposed to be the firstborn, so put them back to sleep. Now, I'm really interested in seeing that. That's going to be a cool scene because the dwarves have some dignity and they have a certain pride. And maybe that's where it comes from because they really were first. You know, the elves take credit for being the firstborn children of Iluvatar. But you know what? The dwarves were technically first, but they got put back to sleep to be reawakened from their slumber under the mountains much, much, much later. I think that's very interesting. How many men fought in the defense of Gondor? Well, that's also a separate question, another tangent. I don't know how many men fought in the defense of Gondor, but if I did some research, let me Google that for you. There are many approximations of how many thousands of troops were involved during the War of the Ring. You'll get different figures depending upon different people whom you ask. But continuing with the Silmarillion conversation, I'm very excited to see the tale of Beren and Luthien. I am really intrigued by the fall of Gondolin, the betrayal, and how Gondolin is destroyed. I mean, it's so tragic. Anything that has to do with Glaurung the dragon, I'm so keen on that. There's a hell of a lot of stuff in the Silmarillion that I would really like to see. But the top images in my mind, oh God, the Oath of Fëanor? Yeah. Oh my gosh, the kinslaying. When the elves actually fight blood kin against blood kin. That's hardcore. The Oath of Fëanor, and I'm intrigued to see a Galadriel, who is not yet 7,000 years old, involved in that Oath of Fëanor stuff. I'm so intrigued by that. Yeah, that's going to be some really, really good stuff, but it is far away. It's as far away as a Hillary Clinton administration. It is so far away. It's just not going to happen for years, okay? I'm just making a joke about it, but seriously, the Silmarillion is just not going to happen for quite a while yet. Jean Bourgeois says, I'd love to see that bit with the Ole and the dwarves too, Cliff. I'd really like to see the scene with Fingolfin and his one-on-one epic battle with Morgoth. Yes, that's hardcore. I'd like to see that too. Oh, I forgot. Okay, wind the clock a little bit further ahead because most of the ideas of major story elements that stick in my mind for the Silmarillion come before the War of Wrath, before the Valar intervened and the circles of the world were broken and changed and all of Beleriand was sunk under the waves, right up to a brand new coastline, a coastline that would be, the western coast of Middle-earth, where the Blue Mountains are, like the way we recognize the Blue Mountains in the Third Age, and where the Gulf of, where the harbor is, the Gulf, where the Grey Havens are, okay? Everybody thinks about the Silmarillion in terms of the earlier millennia, but one of the biggest pieces of the Silmarillion storytelling, which I'm more excited about than anything, and that would be the story of Numenor. The betrayal of the Numenorians when they get corrupted by Sauron, the Deceiver, and the whole Atlantis thing, the destruction of Numenor. Yeah, that's right, Focoena. Lune, the Gulf of Lune, that's right, pronounced Lune, like cool whip. The way that Stewie Griffin would say, cool whip. You gotta say Gulf of Lune with an H. I'm more interested in the saga of how the Numenorians rose to such prominence as technical, spiritual, advanced, intelligent beings, the most powerful human men, Numenor, and how all of that stuff crumbled and fell apart. And a whole civilization like Atlantis, the way that Professor Tolkien was drawing immediate analogy in his world stories to our world of the lost continent of Atlantis. All that stuff with Numenor fascinates me more than anything, to tell you the truth. Dave Gentry says in our Facebook chat, I've been reading the interwebs, well, watch out for that, buddy, for quite some time about why Beorn was, oh, it just scrolled down. Oh, I didn't get to finish reading your question. All right, drat. Now, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go off camera, but you're going to hear my voice. And I'm going to scroll up on the scroller just so I can see what it was you were actually saying. Just give me half a moment. Half a moment. It says, I've been reading on the interwebs for quite some time about why Beorn was basically cut from Battle of the Five Armies. It has been rumored that Warner Brothers told Peter Jackson to cut as many scenes as possible due to his untimely drug conviction. Is this completely false, or is there some truth to the studio meddling with Beorn? Ah, that's a very interesting question, my friend. Very interesting question. Do you know what? Now that I'm back on camera, I had to go backstage to read that. I didn't know until now that there was a drug conviction involved for that very, very popular Swedish actor. And let me take a look at this. There he is. It was Beorn, the Skin Changer. And he was played by Mikael Persbrandt. Wow, I did not know anything about that. That's news to me. That's why we have such an interesting live show. I'm trying to give you guys news, trying to bring you some news and analysis, and you guys bring me news as well. Thank you for that. That's really, really good. Okay, I have no clue about that. I did not know that Mikael Persbrandt had been put in jail or had been convicted for drugs or anything like that. That's very interesting. Wow. You know what? There might be some possibility. There might be some possible truth to that, but I don't think so. Famous last words. I don't think so. Because how many times have other motion pictures come out where one of their stars gets caught up in a terrible tragedy or a drug conviction or, in many cases, a tragic thing like a suicide, God forbid. I mean, you know, when Philip Seymour Hoffman was gone, they still had to release The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2, and they had to figure out where to place him. And in Part 2 of the movie, they had his character not even there in the room, and they invented a conceit where he wrote a letter to Katniss, and that letter was delivered by the Woody Harrelson character. So, you know, even though Philip Seymour Hoffman couldn't even be there. But I wonder, no, it's okay, Dave, it's okay. It's a very interesting question. It's a very interesting question, but I don't know that Warner Brothers would care that much if it's Mikael Persbrandt. If it had been a situation where one of their lead actors was, you know, an American actor who had gotten into something much more controversial, they may have pushed the director in a certain way, but I don't even know that that could be true, because when I watch the extended edition of Desolation of Smaug, what do I get? I get much more Mikael Persbrandt. At my count, I get 12 minutes extra of Mikael Persbrandt added back into the extended edition. And the studio didn't, you know, interfere with Peter Jackson adding him back into the movie for that special release. So I don't see why they would interfere with him being there on that level. But it's a very interesting concept. Kieran Owen, my friend from Wales, hello, we've got visitors from Scotland, Wales. We have so many audience members from around the world. Kieran, I see your question. Going to have Legolas in the film because they didn't have him in the book, but why'd they put him in the Hobbit movie? Oh, he's asking, is it true that they weren't going to have Legolas in the film? No. No. They had planned on putting Legolas in the film from very, very, very early on, even though they knew that Legolas was not in the Hobbit story originally. When they found out that Orlando Bloom was agreeable to coming back to do the character, and when they realized we can make a Hobbit film that expands beyond the original book and have all this extraneous stuff from the appendices, bring that into the story, including Gandalf going down to Dol Guldur and all the extra stuff about the White Council and them sitting down to meet with Saruman and Galadriel and Elrond half-elven. Yeah. I don't think that the studio had any issues with expanding, and I don't think there's any truth to that at all, Kieran. When you talk about dollars and cents, when you talk about the studio making money, if you can add an A-list star like Orlando Bloom, whenever you have a reason to add more A-list stars and keep the fans of the franchise excited because their favorite character is returning to the big screen, there's no way they would say no to that. No way. I'm going to take this book and put it right back here. Good stuff. Man, that's awesome. They've got so many great comic books and great art books and graphic novels. So much good stuff. Right, Chris?
Yes.
Anytime you guys are here in Southern California, any of you folks, if you get the chance to come and visit me in Los Angeles, we're here at Meltdown Comics, right on Sunset Boulevard at the corner of Gardner, 7522 Sunset Boulevard, the biggest and best comic book store in all of LA. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen.
I absolutely agree. I'm sorry.
There's that guy
I'm a
Neil Wade
comic
again.
freak. I agree 100%.
It's kind of true, isn't it?
great
So tell me,
place.
you have a pedigree in animation.
More or less.
You've worked for quite a few animation companies here and there, here and there.
Couple.
Yeah, a couple. Namely Seth MacFarlane, the guy behind Family Guy, American Dad, and my name is Cleveland Brown, and I am proud to be right here in my hometown with my new family.
This is the reason that show needs to come back.
I love Cleveland Show, but the opening song is, there's old friends and new friends, there's even a band. Through good times and bad times, it's true love we share.
I do.
I love
Absolutely.
I love that stuff. So you worked with him. You've worked with. Have you worked with Titmouse?
I've not worked directly with Titmouse.
I know quite a few people who work in there. They do.
Yeah.
What do? They do Super Jail, and they did Chicago, Illinois. All these shows on Adult Swim. Metalocalypse, which is a big show they co-created.
Gosh, you're bringing
I
back
know, that's
memories.
good stuff.
No,
yeah.
I'm
Those
drawing
guys are
a
great.
blank, so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Metalocalypse, that's a funny show. I actually enjoy the heck out of Metalocalypse. Every time they do a cuss word that they can't air on television, instead of a regular beep, they use a guitar riff that goes.
That's pretty brilliant.
They use a weird metal-sounding guitar riff over every obscenity on that show. It's very funny. And, Jean Bourgeois, you're never in California. But yes, you can crash Torn Tuesday anytime, whenever you guys come and visit us. Dave Gentry, a further extrapolation on the Mikkel Persbrandt theory. The theory was that drug conviction was after Desolation of Smaug, but I don't buy it. It's just that most of us were so disappointed his scenes were cut down after we thought that he would have much more screen time. Yeah, I agree. I was very disappointed. Do you know what? When Desolation of Smaug came out theatrically, we're just like,
Saw it with this guy.
yeah, we did.
Yes.
We're like, where's Beorn? Where's the part where they walk up and get introduced to him two by two, and Gandalf plays this clever trick of timing and introducing the dwarves without letting Beorn know that all 13 of those dwarves are there at the same time. That's pretty cool, but the weird thing about Battle of the Five Armies, when it came out, I took a timer and I counted 9 seconds of Beorn. In the Battle of the Five Armies, that character only gets 9 seconds of screen time in the theatrical version. And that pissed me off too. Yeah, I mean, I'm like, "Argh." Anyways, let me ask you real quick.
Well soon.
Are you going to be,
After I make my purchases.
are you going to make some purchases? Are you going to, are you going to make an announcement soon on your next project that you're working on? Or is this top secret stuff?
Probably won't be an announcement until early next year. but
Early
I'll
next
be-
year?
Yes, but I'll be sure to.
Are you going to
let
start
you know.
Are you going to start a Patreon page where some of our fans can actually find you and support some of your work?
Once the project is.
Yeah,
there
it's
will
trying to
certainly be a
put
Patreon and
put the pieces
yes,
together.
Wherever the money can come from, but
Yes.
I'm going to make it happen. So
You should, sir.
keep your eyes open. Neil Wade, coming live in 2017.
It's gonna be. This guy's a talent to watch out for. He's a good guy. He's a very, very good guy.
Trying to be like this guy.
Yes, there you go. Emily is finishing the. She finished the the theme to the Cleveland show that I never finished. Thank you for finishing that.
Much appreciated, Emily.
Let me ask you something. Out of all
Yes.
the animated films you have seen this year, because you're,
don't ask me
have you seen Kubo and the Two Strings?
Of course.
Okay, you know it comes out on Blu-ray this week. Fantastic, get it.
Yeah.
Did you know that Studio Ghibli is going to release The Red Turtle for 1 week here in North America as a qualifying run for the Oscars, and then it'll be released theatrically next January.
okay.
That's right.
Gotcha.
I saw the film already.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it. It's beautiful.
I have not seen. How'd you see it?
Well, I went to the New Art and I met the director. I went over there. You know,
That's so smart.
I know the projectionist. I know some of the staff who work
Yeah.
at the theater, and they said, "Come on down. You got to meet the director." And I'm like, "Yeah,
This is
I got to be
the
there."
problem with me not living like as close to the city as I used to, because I'm missing everything.
Oh, well, I'll catch you up. I will
I'll
catch
do-
you up,
I
buddy.
appreciate it,
But
yes.
you know what? I have to say, if Sausage Party, which had been distributed by Sony, Sausage Party started a multi-million-dollar awards campaign because they're going to try to get the Best Animated Feature Oscar. But I'm telling you,
Interesting.
against Zootopia and against Kubo and the Two Strings, and now the new release of Moana, Disney's Moana, I don't think Sausage Party has a chance compared to some of these
Yeah, I mean-
other amazing films that have been coming out this year.
Family stuff's always going to trump anything else.
You think?
And I think so. And like, I think that's just, it's Disney. You know, it's like
Right.
the Disney effect.
Right.
If it's not necessarily Disney films.
Right.
And
But the two Disney films
you think-
canceling each other out, Finding Dory and Moana and Zootopia, there's 3 Disney releases that are going to compete with each other.
I haven't seen Moana yet.
Neither will I.
feel
It
like-
hasn't come out yet.
You're right. Oh my gosh. It's
coming out this Friday.
Frozen.
I believe it's coming out like,
Comes out this Friday.
or this week for this holiday, yeah.
I think Zootopia is going to take it. I really do. I think it's just I think so.
You think so?
Man. Not to say that I
Why?
agree.
Because
Not
because the
necessarily
country
think so.
the country is our country is talking about race now in a whole different way.
I don't even think it's that.
because it's like
I
the
think-
exposure of racism is something that animation would never take on.
Yeah,
is
I
that
mean,
why?
but- no,
I don't know.
I disagree.
I don't
I
know.
don't think that's why. I don't think that's why.
Tell
I
me.
think that's important. I think that Zootopia is the immensity, and it was kind of just an epic piece altogether. So
Yeah.
Finding Dory, it was a sequel. It was great, but it was a sequel, and like it's kind of it wasn't like that freshness wasn't there, and I think the freshness of Zootopia is really going to take it.
Maybe.
I haven't seen Moana yet. I don't know, but Zootopia was like so immense and like had animals and just like the world building that was in it. It was like such a dense story.
Thank you, Nicholas Xavier Hall. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Have a good night, buddy.
Oh yeah.
You know what, Jean Bourgeois?
Yes.
Hey, you know, I don't know. I think Zootopia has a chance of losing the Best Animated Feature to Kubo and the Two Strings, and there's a reason why. There's a big reason why. Because of the physical aspect of having to build. I mean, the origami in that film is real. It's not just done on a computer. It was made and built by hand. It is the ultimate extension of what is the artifice of making movie magic. Physical effects.
Yeah.
Physical effects. Things that move one bit at a time. It is the essence of cinema. In its purest way, it's all hand-built, hand-constructed, and it has such a powerful, moving story about grief and letting go and legacy. It's such a fascinating film. So that's just my tip. That's just my ideas. Hey, one man's opinion, and it's
Yeah.
only worth the 2 cents that I'm holding in my hands right now.
And that's maybe a good point.
But-
This is all speculation. This
It's
is all
all-
our opinion. This
that's
is
what I
all
do.
Our
That's what I do. I speculate a lot.
spouting off. Yeah,
But
this guy knows what I do.
I mean,
so.
I might,
Don't listen to me.
I might say a few things differently after I see Moana this coming holiday.
Right,
I
which
might,
I'm very excited
But
for.
my favorite film is Kubo and the Two Strings because you can actually feel the animators pinching their fingers and bleeding on all those physical props that they had to build and animate. That's just my opinion. It's just me, you know.
But you're Cliff.
Well, you
That's
know,
very
the skeleton that they made was, you know,
Yeah.
200 feet tall. It is the largest single stop-motion puppet ever built, ever.
It was
That's
gorgeous.
nuts.
Like,
That's nuts.
yes, the behind the scenes were amazing. So
I'm telling you. But anyways, hey, good to have you here on the show.
all right, thank you.
Tina, we'll talk about Denethor's madness in just 1 second. Always good to see you.
A pleasure. Thank you all for letting me crash.
Come crash the show anytime.
I will.
Crash
I
the show
probably will.
anytime.
This is how we met. I crashed this show.
We
the first
crashed
time.
my show this time right here. We
Early
did.
on, so yeah.
Gosh, man. It's been years, hasn't it?
It's been probably about 4.
All right, I'm gonna text you later.
Yeah, hit me up.
I'm gonna text you.
Text me, guys. Just kidding.
Hey, where can we follow you on Twitter?
On Instagram, Instagram, I'm Hello Neil 100.
Hello Neil 100 on
If
Instagram.
you care to
You got
see.
some of your artwork there
Not
on
a
display?
whole lot. A lot of my sketchy stuff. Not a,
Show us some more. Show us more.
Nothing finished.
He's a
but
very talented artist. All right.
we'll see what happens.
Okay.
So,
There you go. All right. See you
all.
guys later.
Take
Love you too, man. Good to have you on the air. Okay. Tina says we're talking about Denethor's madness now as a complete sidetrack to all that feature-length animation we were just discussing. Denethor's madness was due to despair, which was a result of the misinformation. That's right, the information/misinformation that he was being fed by Sauron through the Palantir. That is a big part of Denethor's madness. It's not that he was completely psychologically unhinged by himself. It's not that Denethor, stopped taking his meds. What was really happening was Sauron having the ugliest possible influence over Denethor, and Denethor thought that he could match the power of his mind with Sauron, and that's not possible. Usually, for a regular, mortal human, for any human to just stand against a Maiar spirit. Remember, Gandalf and Sauron were equals on the level of metaphysical power where they come from in the Undying Lands. In Valinor, you have the top tier, the gods and goddesses of the Valar, and then you have second tier, the angelic beings. They're like, the archangels or the angelic powers, and Gandalf was one of them, and so was Radagast, and so was Saruman, and so was Sauron, who would eventually become the Dark Lord in the Third Age. Denethor's madness may have been at the tipping point where he was fearful and driven by anxiety and fear-based thinking. And when he used the Palantir, and rather foolishly, Denethor thought that he could master the art of using that Palantir without knowing that Sauron had claimed at least one or two of them. And there's no way that the mental faculty of a regular guy, even though he was the steward of Gondor, could match up with the mental faculty of such a pernicious evil. That wasn't just your regular everyday human evil, that was an angelic, demonic being of evil. So no wonder Sauron could use the Palantir to push Denethor beyond the tipping point and manipulate the living F out of him. Not surprising at all. Okay? Now, Kieran says, Denethor's madness, what is your opinion on him hating Faramir? Yeah, that's hardcore. You have to go back to the Bible and see how Cain and Abel operate as an archetype of storytelling. And I do believe that Professor Tolkien was doing a little bit of an homage to the Cain and Abel story structure in having Faramir and Boromir be different sides of individual psychology, individual personality, and Denethor always favored his firstborn son. That happens. That happens a lot. Go back to the ancient Icelandic sagas and the Norse mythologies, the stories that were so powerful of an influence on young Professor Tolkien before he started writing, about the War of the Ring. There's a whole, that was Sauron's biggest weapon, breaking the will of men. That is right, Matej, very true. He played favorites with his sons, but that's also a built-in archetype of that storytelling, that the elder son, instead of the younger son, would have favor with an aggressive, militant father. It's not the least a bit surprising at all. Tina asks, was the fact that Denethor didn't actually have the right to use the Palantir? Maybe Denethor's bloodline was not Númenórean enough. Aragorn, on the other hand, was directly descended from those Númenóreans and lived a much longer life. And that might be true. That might be part of it too. Interesting. So, hey, you guys, before too long, I think that, bye, Mr. Neil. Good to see you, buddy.
See you, man.
Wow, what time do we have here? Neil, are you actually going back to the valley?
I'm not.
Are you going to stay here in Hollywood for 15 minutes?
No,
Because I'm finishing. The show isn't done in 15 minutes. Are you heading out?
I got it now.
All right, then we're going to catch up later on.
Yes.
All right? I will. Good to see you, Mr. Buddy. Okay, Pete Northronner. Now, Pete, bless you. I'm so glad to see you on the show. I see your point, Cliff, regarding Cain and Abel, but the two brothers loved each other, unlike Cain and Abel. That's an important distinction. That's true. Maybe you can combine this with the amount of Isaac loving Esau and leaving his brother Isaac to be raised by his mother. Ah, very good. Another Old Testament reference. That's a very, very good point to be making. Yeah, and thank you for the clarity. I'm not a biblical scholar. I mean, I was raised as a child as a Methodist in the deep South of America. So, I had my Sunday school class, and I learned a few things here and there about all of my Old Testament stories, but some of that was lost in the fog of adulthood since I have grown onto a different path of spirituality in my adult life. I'm a little bit more of a semi-functioning Buddhist now more than I am anything, but it's very good to realize that there's more nuance to those biblical stories that Professor Tolkien would know about, because Tolkien was a very devout Roman Catholic, and you know how he was raised as a boy, when his mother died, and he was taken in by a Roman Catholic father, a pastor who took care of Hillary and John when they were just little lads. Yeah, okay, that's very, very, very intriguing. I'm really glad. Kieran Owen is saying, so you think that Denethor and Saruman were a secretly souring puppet, but Saruman knew, and therefore Denethor had no clue that he was being used. I'm not sure if I follow your... Kieran, your English has all of a sudden turned into confusing Welsh all of a sudden. You might want to try retyping that without all those typos. Hello, Ivan. Good to have you. And Tina. It's very, very, very good to have all of you folks here with us. And Hannah and Esme. What did I think of Doctor Strange? Well, I talked about that a couple of weeks ago. I loved Doctor Strange. It was remarkable. What a remarkable film. Benedict Cumberbatch is so awesome. And my hat is off to the director of Doctor Strange for making a very good effort at realizing some of the psychedelic artwork that Steve Ditko did back in the 60s and 70s. But anyways, it's very intriguing. What's happening in the bookstore? It looks like the staff is having a nice meeting back there. They're not doing anything on the stage tonight. Is there a show tonight, guys? Yeah, there's probably a 9 p.m. show. They do comedy, sketch comedies, stand-up comedy. So many great shows that they do on the live stage behind me. But I'm not sure if they're getting ready to do a show until maybe 9 o'clock tonight. Yes, Fly, you Burks, says, don't Buddhists have to give up all their worldly goods? Yes, you can't imagine me doing that. No, like I said, I'm an armchair Buddhist. I'm barely functioning as an armchair scholar of Buddhism. Hello, good sir.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Good to see you. Get home safe. Get home safe. All right. Oh, and I got so many people saying hi, Cliff. It's nice to see you. I'm out here in the showroom. Hey, what's going on? Nice to see you, Francisco.
Nice to see you, Cliff.
What you doing?
I'm working. What you doing?
He's working. There's Francisco's over there. Hey, Holly, how you doing over there? You working? Wow, there's a lot of work going on. What's happening in the bookstore is going to be, kind of mutable, changing from time to time. Usually there's hundreds of people lined up to go and see the theater in the back. Ariantano Vanimo, your Elvish is perfect. Denethor loved Faramir. The movie didn't show that very well. In the book, Denethor tried to save Faramir from Osgiliath, and in the movie, he sent him there. Yeah? Yep. Oh, thank you for staying up till 3 in the morning. It was a great chat show. I can just call you Matt. Yeah, Matej is pretty hard to say, but I'll just call you Matt from now on. Thank you, Matt. You know what? The love that Denethor had for Faramir was shown in The Return of the King in the last moments when there was a fire. the fire that Denethor was deliberately starting. And at that very last second, I knew that Denethor regretted what was going on. I did notice that. I did see that. Now, also keep in mind that Gandalf tried to remind Faramir. He said, "Your father loves you, Faramir." And he very famously says, "And he will remember it before the end." And Peter Jackson delivered on that. Okay? The dialogue is there much earlier. Gandalf says, "Your father loves you, Faramir. He will remember it before the end." And what makes it so tragic is that at the very end, when everything was blazing with fire and it was too late, Denethor remembered. And it's so tragic. It's very tragic. But thank you, Pippin, for helping to save Faramir from being burned alive. Thank you, Pippin, for doing that. That's very, very, very good. All right, now, lots of things to say. We never even got into that larger conversation that we had promised to have from a long time ago about how here in America, at least in the United States, a lot of fans of Tolkien who are both Democratic and Republican, they're using memes and images and loose analogies from The Lord of the Rings. And, it was even used by news commentators and pundits on the news shows. A lot of them were actually using Lord of the Rings and Hobbit references and characters to illustrate some of their political points. We didn't get to talk about that, but that's because Justin never came back to join me on the bloody show. Damn your eyes, Justin. Damn your eyes. Damn your eyes. You should have come and joined me on the show, buddy. We're going to have Skype for only 10 minutes. I just turned on Skype. I'm going to see if I can get signed out and then signed back in. Kieran, you were asking did Saruman and Denethor, would they both have been controlled by the Palantir, but Saruman gave himself over to Sauron, but Denethor did not. Denethor didn't know he was being used by Sauron. You know what? That's a good observation. That's a good observation. I think that, Kieran, you may be onto something. Denethor never realized that he was being manipulated by Sauron. Never realized it at all. Not at all. And maybe Saruman didn't realize it until it was too late. Maybe, but I think Saruman was too prideful, and his arrogance, Saruman the White, trying to present himself as Saruman of many colors, such arrogance. I think Saruman's arrogance really got in the way of him perceiving his vulnerabilities, and I think Professor Tolkien played that out in the book perfectly, all the way to the end, where the hobbits, or the halflings, have to deal with him invading the Shire. Remember that chapter? The Scouring of the Shire? The one that was so critical in the book that never happened in the movies? Yeah, I remember that. And you guys remember that too, I'm sure. Yeah, I think that's a very interesting thing to remember, that Professor Tolkien had some points to make. He had a very specific point to make about Saruman's arrogance. So I think that's pretty cool to see how Christopher Lee brilliantly played the arrogance of Saruman right up to the last moment when Brad Dourif, as Wormtongue, did that decisive blow and stabbed him in the back. Very intriguing. Jean Bourgeois also says, I think the race of men in Middle-earth, being the weakest of the races, likely didn't know that they were being used by the Dark. Yeah, many, many, many times. Well, even the elves of Eregion, the elves who were involved in the making of magic rings, they didn't know that they were being manipulated by Sauron, because Sauron put on his low-key disguise. At that time, Sauron still had the ability to take on a fair, beautiful form. And he put on his disguise, just like Loki does in the Thor Marvel universe, and Sauron tricked all the elves. Sauron tricked the men of Numenor. You know how ugly that story is. You know that the men of Numenor worshipped Sauron as a deity. they engaged in slavery of their own kind. The men of Numenor fell from the highest grace down to the lowest of the low, and they were wiped out and obliterated by divine intervention. Okay? That's how bad Sauron took things when he corrupted the hearts of men. And he's fooled a lot of people over millennia in Middle-earth. Sauron was the great, great deceiver, and he took it as far as he could take it. It's very intriguing. I'm glad you guys are bringing up these points. Yeah, hello there. Good to see you, Gaston. How are you? Gaston, come and say hello to the fine folks in the interwebs. It's one of the founder, owner of Meltdown Comics. This is Gaston. So good to see you, sir. We're talking about
Do I look at the lens? What do I do?
You say hi to them. They're
Goes?
right there. We're talking about, what's going on in Middle Earth and Christopher Lee and how
Sad
brilliant he
face
was.
right there.
Doesn't that look like our friend Satine? That's her
yeah.
mini avatar up there.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's her. Things are good
Yeah.
in comic book land? Yeah?
Happy Thanksgiving to all.
Happy Thanksgiving to
good night.
all, and to all a good night. Good to see you, buddy. And thank you for this amazing place. It's so good to be here. The coolest place in the world. The nexus of cool, geek, nerdiness, all right here in Meltdown Comics. No, that's not Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. You guys, for a second there, they thought Luke Evans was going to come around the corner. He plays Gaston in the upcoming Beauty and the Beast. I know you guys are funny. You guys are funny, but no, that was not the same Gaston. But I am looking forward to Luke Evans playing Gaston, as much as we're looking forward to Sir Ian McKellen playing Cogsworth. Oh, look who's back. It's my erstwhile host, the guy who doesn't even host my shows with me anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Justin. He's right here.
And there's a bunch of people watching on Periscope.
Yeah, oh my God, wait. We're on Twitter, Periscope, YouTube, Facebook Live,
Hearts.
Ustream.
I love seeing the hearts pop up on the Periscope.
Me too. Did you see my Deathly Hallows pendant?
Really?
This
Where'd you get that?
is an homage. It's not really the Deathly Hallows pendant, but it's close enough. It looks just like the Deathly Hallows symbol. When Colin Farrell gives that Deathly Hallows pendant to Credence
Just in time.
in the Fantastic Beasts movie, I'm like, wow, that is so cool. Really, really, really cool. And here comes Justin. Time to close the show. Let's sign in.
I heard that you were getting Skype calls.
Oh, we're about to get a Skype call.
It was ringing like it was ringing in the whole thing. The whole
Was it
time.
really? Well, here, why don't you type in the password for Skype? See if you can remember what it is. And we're going to get on Skype so that some of our folks can actually. That's right, Dave. No one sells comics like
It's the same
Gaston.
password as it's always been.
Good.
With the one at the end.
Thank you. That's good. Then there needs to be a one. Then I'll remember that for. I know what you mean, but I'll remember the numerical one is at
I
the
just
end.
logged into his
Yeah.
Skype,
Hey, guys.
And there's Peter Jackson and there's.
Oh, bringing back the beard. Is this your no shave November? Is that what this is?
Yeah.
Oh, how cute.
This is as long as it gets in 3 weeks. This-
Hannah, look at this. This is so cute and fuzzy. His little dwarf beard growing right here. It's so funny.
most,
So cute.
most men can grow this in a week.
Yeah.
This is a month. I'm
So you have
I got a poor genes. When it
as your Uncle Scar would say, you were in the shallow end of the gene pool.
yeah,
Right.
I didn't win.
Another Disney reference. Gotcha.
I'm with Gene. Though. I'm with Gene that I cannot wait for Beauty and the Beast. I can't wait.
Yeah,
for
we're excited for that.
Ewan McGregor.
Well, hello
and,
there, Emily.
And Ian McKellen.
Nice
play
to have you on
Consort
Skype.
and Lumiere. I just love
What
all
did
the
you think
Twitter.
of the new Beauty and the Beast trailer?
I think the new Beauty and the Beast trailer gives away entirely too much. That's what I think. It gives away way too much.
I liked bits of it, but I thought they could have done slightly better on the design for Mrs. Potts.
Yeah?
I didn't understand
I
that.
think they did as good a design as they did in their original Disney movie.
Well, no, actually,
Can't wait.
they actually look like Chip looks like a real teacup. They look like, instead of being anthropomorphized to look like Angela Lansbury's cute little chubby face, instead of doing Angela's face, they just made it look like a teapot. So,
Yeah, it was weird.
Oh no, I mean just the design.
I didn't like it.
Just
She doesn't have a
design.
handle. She doesn't.
Oh yeah.
She
they
doesn't
do
have a
for
handle.
you. I just thought, just the overall design. I thought could have
Yeah.
just been a little bit more polished.
Oh, see? Iruyantio Vanimo says that she loves, he or she, not quite sure, your Hobbits Beatles mashup. That's a fun shirt. Yes. Yes. Like,
Shouldn't have shown the beast. You know, I appreciate Ron Perlman. I think Ron Perlman's Beast looked better as a beast. Remember that show Beauty and the Beast in the 90s with Ron Perlman?
yeah.
I think his Beast looks better than the Beast that we saw in the trailer. And
Was that also Linda Hamilton starring opposite him?
Yeah.
And she ended up in Terminator
And
because
Ron
she was
Perl-
married to James.
And Ron Perlman was supposed to be Beorn in Guillermo del Toro's version of The Hobbit.
Yeah,
Can you
Ron
imagine?
Perlman is Beorn, huh?
He would have made a great Beorn.
Okay, he.
Yeah, I loved
Thank you.
Sir, I could definitely tell Sir Im. But I
stopped
didn't
shaving
get
your legs for you,
Ewan.
Mama.
Literally, I couldn't tell it was Ewan doing
A French,
Lumiere, even though I
a
knew
goofy
it was
French
him.
voice.
I loved Gaston, Lucas Gaston.
Yeah, he's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. You know what? Most of the complaints that I've heard about the Beauty and the Beast trailer revolve around Belle herself.
Ogglesacks just
I've
joined on Twitter.
heard one or two people complaining about Emma as Belle as well, but
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see the problem. I think people complain far too much about pre films and things, but I think when it actually happens, I mean people were complaining about Johnny being in Fantastic Beasts, and well, I haven't really heard much complaints since it's been put out. I think the complaints will go once it's released.
I always withhold judgment until I see the actual.
That's right. Got to withhold judgments
Yeah.
until the actual movie comes out. Thank you. Okay, Eruyantio is Joseph in Quenya. That is an excellent bit of Elvish scholarship. I will remember that, Joseph. Good to have you on the show. I've had so many people from around the world, like Eastern Europe and England, and everyone's talking, and I can't pronounce their names. I've had a hard time pronouncing these names today.
Twitter, there's
I really have.
54 people watching here on.
No, it's great to
Periscope.
have you guys. I'm so glad you all
Oh,
are joining us.
Heart. I love hearts.
Thanks. Hey,
I'm hoping to go and see the Fantastic Beasts in IMAX either this weekend or next weekend. I've got the screenplay book, but I don't dare read it until I've seen the movie.
I agree.
And hopefully I pre-ordered in the Black Friday sales this weekend. I've got the book which has for a Fantastic Beasts where you can pull out all the posters and all sorts of bits and pieces. So I'm looking
Spoilers.
forward to reading that at the weekend.
No spoilers. No book
And looking
spoilers.
to
No
all the
movie
fun
spoilers.
things that they've put into it.
well, that'll be so good to hear your opinion of what you think of the film after you see it. Come back and let us know next week, okay?
Yeah.
Good
Yes,
good
please
to
do.
Hear from you.
Always great to have you
Always
join the
great
show.
To hear from you.
Thanks.
Well, I try to come when I can. I can't always make it.
I know.
I get a job. I don't know how often I'll be able to come. But
I know. You're staying up till 2:30 in the bloody morning. That's crazy. But I love that.
I love it.
I love it. Yeah.
I had an interview today, so I don't know what will be the outcome.
Blessings to you, and I hope it turns out well.
You know,
Fingers crossed for you.
Star Wars.
We'll talk to you next
tickets
week,
just
love.
came out
Good to see you.
In the UK.
Well done.
And Star Wars tickets are not out yet in the US, but they went on sale yesterday at midnight in the UK.
Rogue One?
Rogue One.
Yeah, Rogue One tickets
And
on
so-
sale.
And so I'm like, so I hit up the Chinese theater. I'm like, I'm ready to buy my tickets. Can I buy my tickets for the first showing of Star Wars Rogue One? And you know what they said?
What?
Not yet. We're raising our prices for Star Wars.
Who said that?
The Chinese theaters. And so I called the ArcLight, and then I called AMC theaters.
Wow.
And then I called Cinemark, and they all are raising their prices for Star Wars.
Are they really?
Yeah.
That's not
They
cool.
never did this with Lord of the Rings.
No, they never did that to us with other franchises. I mean, I'll tell you
I'm
what.
so glad. I would have
I'll-
paid extra for
I'll-
Lord of the Rings, but I'm so glad that they didn't.
I will go to a matinee. Instead of going at prime time, I'll go to a $6 matinee in the Monday afternoon after the weekend is over.
He's cheap.
That's what I'll do. Okay. Oh,
Who's joining us?
hello there. It's Kieran. Hello, how are you, Kieran Owen? How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you. How are you doing?
How are things in Wales tonight?
Quiet.
Quiet?
Same old.
Yes, quiet.
Did you get your Star Wars tickets?
No, not yet, but I will be. First of all, I'd just like to say, whoa, your beard. What do I say? I didn't even notice it was you.
That's good. That's good. That means it's working.
You could go in the way you were last week and buy a ticket, and then grow it, and then go and buy another ticket, and then you could pretend to be two people going in.
That's funny. We could. You know what? Let's just buy a cheaper ticket for another movie that no one wants to see and then sneak into the other theater, right?
No Shave November.
No Shave November. Oh, you know what? I know you. Hello, Jean Bourgeois. I said Jean Bourgeois because I took, j'ai étudié le français 12 ans à l'école. Malheureusement, j'ai parlé un très peu français, but I can fake it. So as soon as I read your name, I totally went French on you. Sorry about that, but we'll do the American English
I'm all about
pronunciation.
the men of Gondor. We got a question. What factions of men? I'm all about Gondor. Rohan, they're a bunch of vindictive little punks. They like their horses. Why should they help you? Why should we just want our horses?
Yeah,
So,
right.
Pat,
Right.
So what brings you on the show today? Why are you calling so late in the evening?
Yeah, what's up? 2:30 in the morning for you, right, Kieran?
Yeah. Well, obviously, every week I have questions that need to be answered.
And we're here to answer them. So rapid
Like
fire.
Gandalf's-
Let's
like
do it.
Gandalf quotes when he goes to Osgiliath. Okay, so
So yeah,
question.
quick.
Question number one.
Rapid fire.
Yeah. Okay. Question number one. Vigo in the appendix. Apparently, if it wasn't for his son, he wouldn't have gone into the Lord of the Rings. So,
Right.
who do you reckon would fit the bill of being Aragorn if Vigo chose not to become Aragorn in the movies?
Hugh Jackman? Really?
No, he was on the original casting list, but he never made it past the early casting. It was the guy that they cast, and then he got fired, and
Pete,
then Vigo was the next call.
It was Stuart Townsend first, and then Vigo was next.
Yeah, but if Vigo chose not to do it, who do you reckon would have?
Oh, who would I have chosen? If Vigo didn't do it, you know what? I would have been pleased if they got a total unknown, an unknown actor who would have just been brilliant and brought some special talent. But that's a trick to do. When you're doing a multi-million-dollar franchise film, they don't like to cast unknowns in their lead roles. But that would have been cool for me to have a person we didn't even know. Like when Andy Serkis was cast as Gollum, he was an unknown. Nobody knew who he was.
I think the guy that's the lead in The Walking Dead, I think he would have made a good Aragorn.
Yeah, he would have. The one who plays Daryl?
No, not Daryl.
The other one.
Rick, yeah.
Rick.
Okay, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. All right. Okay, and I can answer too. My favorite faction of men in Middle Earth, I have to be really
All
honest.
of them. Right?
Beorn and his race of shape-shifting men, they were the ones who were persecuted almost to the point of extinction, and yet still, like Radagast, they took very seriously their guardianship over the land. And so the Beornings, the descendants of Beorn, the Beornings are my favorite faction of mortal men, at least in the Third Age, going into the Fourth Age of Middle-earth. That's my quick answer.
Next question.
What's the next question, Kieran? Real quick.
Next question. I noticed in The Hobbit there was more of a love romantic thing going on with Gandalf and
Galadriel.
I've forgotten her name now. Gandalf and Galadriel.
There was no romantic thing going on.
Yes, there was.
No, there wasn't.
Let him finish the
There
question.
was. There was, but why did as the Lord of the Rings was after The Hobbit, why didn't they carry on that romantic story between them where instead it was more of a
Okay.
Why do you think?
to meet Gandalf
I'll tell you why.
going
Because
Because it didn't exist. They didn't continue it because it didn't exist.
they did continue it. They needed a reason for her to be frustrated and freak out, and she would be a queen. She was
No.
romantically frustrated, and that's why
Nope.
she goes, you'll have a queen, and then she was like, got her hormones in check, and
Nope.
and that's it.
And I'll tell you why that is so wrong. The wizards that were sent to Middle Earth were not human. They were angelic beings. They were asexual. okay? Can you understand that? They were asexual.
Not buying it.
The wizards, none of the wizards took
Let me
a
have
wife. None of them had children.
I need this.
They were not human.
Let me have
So,
this.
no. Galadriel was romantically linked with her partner, Celeborn, and together they ruled the dominion of Lothlorien. There was no sexuality expressed with any of the Maiar spirits, and definitely not when they were wizards. Didn't happen. That answers your question.
No.
It didn't
How
exist.
To explain when they was in
We're seeing the
they was fighting the wraiths in Gandalf. The way Gandalf was telling Galadriel to go with him, and the looks that they were giving each other, like Galadriel. You could see Galadriel went from looking at him, seeing how bad he was, to
They held hands.
actually releasing all the power.
If you held hands in Middle Earth, you might as well
Listen.
be married.
Galadriel was at the point where she was trying to save one of the greatest, most powerful beings in Middle Earth from being destroyed. And
What a point for me to-
Gandalf knew how close he was to extinction, and that is why he pleaded with her, because she had the power to help heal him.
My
I'm just saying, it's not the way you. The fact that you could confuse. Look at this. I played with Justin's beard the same way that Galadriel played with Gandalf's hair.
This is not
Just
a
because.
safe space.
Yes, it is a safe space. Are you kidding me? Just because Galadriel is playing around with Gandalf's hair doesn't mean you can
everything.
interpret that
Yes,
as
you
a
can.
romantic bunch of nonsense.
Absolutely you can.
Nonsense. Anyways, sorry, Kieran, we lost the call.
That's a.
We lost the
great-
Skype call,
those
Kieran,
are
but that was
great questions.
that was a very interesting question. But
Those are
no,
great
there
questions.
was no romantic anything between Galadriel and Gandalf. It just didn't happen.
Yeah, whatever.
Gosh.
Yeah, whatever. I would rather have that romance than the love triangle of the elf, the dwarf, and the other elf.
Oh yeah, well that love triangle was just that was a
That was the studio meddling.
that was a bit of what
You
you
could totally tell it was studio meddling.
Was
Because
it?
Evangeline Lilly said the original script that she signed up for did not have a love triangle, and she's all about empowerment and stuff like that. She definitely didn't want to be in a movie with a love triangle, and then they added it in reshoots. So that's Evangeline was so frustrated.
Thank you, David Quackenbush.
added that.
David Quackenbush says, I think you need to decide if you're working from the movies or from the books. Yes. When I'm having a conversation with a 16-year-old in Wales who hasn't read the books as many times as I've read them, okay?
Nobody has.
I'm not shaming you. I'm not shaming you,
Nobody
Kieran.
read them.
You're my buddy. But look, popular culture has absorbed the movies and
Who's
the
in
imagery
love?
of the movies
There's
to a degree.
No shipping here.
I'm just saying that somebody who's read the books as much as I have when I was a teenager, I didn't have the reference point of Peter Jackson's movies. So I relate to the book story. I talk to a 16-year-old and they relate to the movies, just like you. That's how it happens. But anyways, just because you can play with someone's beard or play with someone's hair doesn't mean there's any romantic link. I mean, geez.
Yeah, there is.
Jeez. God, what are you thinking? Not in a million years, buddy.
What happened to Aragorn's son? Who played Aragorn's son, by the way? In that flash.
Oh, you know what?
forward?
They
Wasn't that Jed Brophy's kid?
no, they talked about that in the director's commentary track of Return
Yeah.
of the King,
Uh-huh.
but I don't remember. Let's have to look it up.
Yeah. Well, it's been an amazing show. Thank you for covering.
How
for
many
me.
times have I read the books? Well, Tina, including the 6 or 7 day marathon live reading that I
Should
did.
he do that again? Would you guys watch him read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings again live?
Christmas.
Christmas through
Yes.
New Year's?
Everybody, when
Would you do that?
I think that was my 16th. Maybe it was I lost count.
We-
After 12.
We're still deciding whether to do this.
I
or
don't know
not.
if I've read The Lord of the Rings 12 or 16
Good for
times.
you.
I've reread them and reread so many times. But including the Silmarillion, oh God, I've lost track of how many times I've read that through.
Sadwin Brophy. I was right.
Was it Sadwin Brophy? Okay. Fokawena, thank you. Thank you, Helen. Bam. Talk about details. Okay, so
Everybody's so engaged. I hate to shut off the stream. You want to just keep going?
hello, Brittany. Hello, David Quackenbush. Hello, Janet. Silmarillion, please. Oh, they're
Read
asking.
the Silmarillion.
Oh, that's hardcore. Wow.
You'll have to think about that.
Oh, Tina got me beat once a year since 1975. Extra gold star to Tina Bomar. Oh yeah, I made a rhyme. An extra gold star to Tina Bomar. That's very good.
This is a
Once
good
a
year.
year,
Thank you.
every
Thank
year
you,
since
Burks.
1975.
Fly, you Burks.
That's brilliant. Thank you, David Quackenbush. We all love the Silmarillion. I think that we should
Can
start.
I please have a gold star? Oeon says,
Yes, Oleon. Hey, Oleon. And how about a multifaceted, glittering, beautiful laser prism gold star for you? You get a gold star too. How about that? Okay. We're gonna do a live stream on Christmas Day where I'm gonna have a fireplace behind me and I'll be in my classic rocking chair.
and you get a gold
And
star.
I get a gold star. I get a Mario gold
I
star.
get a gold star too.
Thanks. I need a gold star.
Gold stars for everybody.
Gold stars for everybody.
Gold stars.
It's really nice to have you guys on the show.
For my gold star.
We're going to have that live readathon. And hey, remember,
Yay! Yay!
remember last year when we had Sean Astin? That's right. The
Oh,
actor,
we should email a bunch of people this week.
the actor who is now joining the cast of Stranger Things.
Season 2.
Season 2, yes, Sean Astin, who's going to be on Stranger
Have you
Things.
seen Fantastic
Woo!
Beasts? I have not. Jan, I have not seen Fantastic Beasts yet.
I
I'm
have,
going to
and
this
it's
week.
awesome.
No spoilers.
It's awesome. No spoilers, but I really
Should
enjoyed
I see
it.
it in 3D or 2D?
2D. Don't need the 3D.
Should
2D.
I see it in 35 or 4K?
Do you know why I say 2D?
I don't care. 35 or 4K.
Because the movie is very dark. The movie is like the photography is like dim,
That's what everybody said.
and you're
It's
gonna
very dark.
get 30% more dimness and darkness if you put on those 3D conversion glasses.
Yeah.
So stick with 2D. And what you should definitely see it in 4K digital so that you can see what people have been complaining about, the headlines turning and twisting in the opening sequence. And I saw them just fine. They looked great. Okay. Oh, hey, North Runner. Maybe I should do the Father Christmas letters as well.
Ooh, Tolkien.
Ooh, Tolkien's Father Christmas letters.
What if we put the word out? Would fans come and read a chapter? Give you a break once in a while.
I would love that. Hey, fans in the Southern California area, other actors.
That'd be cool.
We've got actors from the Hobbit trilogy and the Lord of the Rings trilogy who are all here in LA. They can come in and read a guest
The
chapter.
3D is really impressive. It works in the 3D was really impressive in Doctor Strange. In fact, I think Doctor Strange was a better
Oh,
movie
yeah.
in 3D. than
Doctor
it
Strange
in
was
2D.
the best in 3D, and I was in a 4DX motion control seat. Brr, brr.
You always have to want
So cool. Yeah, well, that's just me. Oh, I gotta say, thank you to Sean Astin for coming to join me for the live readathon. He read the chapter, The Choices of Master Samwise.
Oh my gosh.
He read that
that's
chapter and it
amazing.
was really amazing.
Yes.
So we're gonna have more guests this coming Christmas, and we'll see. We better start reaching out to a lot of those people.
I know. Gold stars for you for watching today.
Thank you for joining us.
Gold star for you for covering for me.
Yep.
And
2 weeks in a row. How did that flat tire get fixed, by the way?
a lot of duct tape and my cheeks are tired.
Wood glue and duct tape, and your cheeks are tired.
Yep.
Because you had to put your lips on that tire and you had to
need to
blow.
explain.
You had to inflate
Just
the tire
let it-
yourself. So
Did you
funny.
have to explain it?
I had to,
Just let
yes.
it go.
Like a golf ball through a garden hose, this guy.
Wow.
That's a Full Metal Jacket reference. Hello, Stanley Kubrick fans. I'm dropping references left and right. Boom! Deep cuts with Clifford and Justin.
I'm gonna go turn the stream.
He's gonna go turn the stream off. All right, you guys are awesome. Thank you for being part of our show. And thank you. Our international audience gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So what happened with Aragorn's son? Well, Strider Ingram, if you'd like to look up some of the details about what happened to Aragorn's son, open up the Return of the King to the very back and look at the appendices. Take a look and you might find some details there, right? Thank you, everybody. Really great show. You guys, we don't get much detail. Tina Bomar, you are correct. Tolkien does not tell us real specifics, but there's a little bit, just a little bit. Oh, when is the next stream? Hey, before you cut the show off, the next stream is every Tuesday at 5 p.m., 5 o'clock Pacific time. Every Tuesday, live at 5. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much. Love seeing you guys. You're the best. Thank you, and good night. y buena suerte. Whew, how about that?
I like the energy that the store brought.
Yeah, it always does.
The energy was different. It was good.
I forgot to say have a great Thanksgiving. Well, that's because most of our international audience doesn't celebrate Thanksgiving.